Okay, the microphone is on. Testing. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I know I'm just about a minute late, as always, a few tech issues. I would love to know who's here and what your biggest questions are. So if you could start typing those into the box while we get all set up here, that would be wonderful. All right, we're going to get started here. So I am Brittany Gardner, and we are going to be talking today about the 3 major mistakes business owners make that keep them overworked, spinning their wheels, and frustrated. So we'll do a quick little intro. Who am I? I'm a personal branding strategist and branding photographer. I have about 13 years of experience as a professional photographer and have moved into the personal branding space over the last few years, helping small business owners like coaches, speakers, authors, trainers translate what it feels like to work with them into their online branding so that they can provide a beautiful space that helps their clients trust them before they even pick up the phone to call them. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about branding, and Brandscaping Code is the hashtag we'll be using. If you want to talk about this in social media, I'd love to see what you have to say. Just throw this hashtag on there and we'll be able to find it. There's probably going to be quite a bit of retweeting going on. So let's see what you have to say. So you are in the right place today. If you're a business owner who feels like you're spinning wheels rather than climbing the ladder of success, if you feel like you're frustrated with the lack of success you've currently had, and if you're generally just trying to figure out how to get your brand in the right place, that means you are going to have a great time today and learn a lot. If you're a coach, speaker, consultant, or trainer, and you know you have something to offer the world, you just need to help yourself get found a little bit more, help yourself be seen, you're also in the right place. I want to give you a quick heads up. If you stay tuned all the way till the end, I have a couple awesome bonuses. And we'll be promoting those bonuses as soon as we get to the end. So that's my little hint that staying till the end is a great idea. I've got a brand emergency review. It's a free option for you as a bonus if you stay to the end. And what it is it's me going ahead and helping you when you're ready to promo something, when you're ready to put up a Facebook ad, when you're ready to launch a new page on your website or a new program, and you're not quite sure if your brand is speaking to your target audience, your best audience. You can head over to me and have me review your new promo item and make sure that it actually hits all of the bullet points that you want it to make. So what you're going to learn today is the 3 mistakes business owners make that keep them frustrated. Yes, that's the title of the webinar. And you're also going to learn how to prevent those mistakes before they happen or avoid them again if you've already been there. A lot of you, if you're frustrated, have already been making a few mistakes, and you're going to learn how to pull yourself out of those and prevent those from happening in the future. And even more importantly, you're going to learn how to play like the 7-figure earners in the business world. We're going to talk through all of those steps. But first, we're going to go over my story. I wasn't always niched into branding. In fact, there was a time that I wasn't actually living my own brand as I tell other people to do. So the picture on the left is me, and the space between these 2 pictures, I think it's about 1.5 years. So there was a time I was primarily photographing weddings, portraits, families, things like that. And the photo on the left is what I used as my bio photo, my profile photo for Facebook, things like that, for that particular time of my life. It was really fitting. I was actually photographing a bride and groom here, and they were, strolling along a beach. The nice waves of beach grass framed them. And my husband, who photographed with me at the time, took this photo of me while I was waiting for the right moment. So it was really appropriate for what I was doing then. Well, I moved into the personal branding space, photographing headshots, photographing brand stories, things like that. And I was still using that photo there on the left until one day I realized, okay, that didn't really fit. It wasn't really appropriate to what I was doing. The work I produce these days is much more posed. It's much more lifestyle and and it's not really fitting to me hanging out in beach grass. So as soon as I realized that, I went ahead, I took care of business. This photo on the right was taken by a good friend of mine. Her name's Rebecca Kiger. She's a wonderful photographer back east, and she took this photo of me at a seminar a while back. And I've been using this as my personal Facebook profile photo ever since then. I also have a whole slew of other photos that I use for my own branding. But the point of the story is I wasn't living my own brand. I was telling my clients to do something, and I wasn't doing it myself. Can you relate to that? Can you relate to knowing the answers, knowing what you should be doing, and not quite getting there yourself? It's one of the things that made me realize I wasn't living my own brand. I wasn't living boldly. And more importantly, I wasn't projecting an image that my clients could relate to. I wasn't projecting an image that they could be inspired by. And as soon as I made that change, I saw everything about my business change as well. So we're going to move on to the mistakes. That's exactly why you're here today, right? The 3 major mistakes that business owners make that keep them frustrated. So mistake number 1 is networking without purpose or follow-up. I know when most people start a business, the first thing they are told to do is go out and network. Go out, meet people, tell everyone what you do, tell everyone how awesome your business is, what your ideas are, who you can help, all of that. Well, if you don't have purpose, otherwise known as strategy, and you don't know how to follow up, most of that networking is going to be a waste of time. So you need to answer a few questions before you get into that. Who are you trying to find? Who are you trying to talk to? And some marketing experts will call that your target audience, your customer avatar, your, marketing demographics. I'm not a big fan of those terms because I think unless you're a marketing business person, terms like that can be a little bit scary. And I'm not I'm not a really big fan of doing things that put a barrier between you and having your business be successful. So If you're going to think about this, let's think about it in a way that makes sense to you. Just who's your best client? Who's the person you can best serve, most help? Who's the person that really, truly will get answers from you? That's your best client. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other clients you can help, but without strategy, networking is just social hour. And, I know a lot of networking events have great people. It can be fun to be around. If you're an extrovert, it's probably really fun. But it's good to remember that if you don't have a strategy, it's not going to do you any good. So the next question I have is, do you have a follow-up sequence in place? You're going to get a stack of business cards at any networking event. What do you do with them when you get home? Do they sit on your desk? Do they not even come out of your jacket pocket or your purse? That's not going to help you. In fact, it could even hurt you if you are, for example, not following up with people you say that you're going to follow up. It might make you look bad. It might make your business look like you're not on target to do the things you were talking about the night before at the networking event. Do you have an email sequence in place? Do you have a LinkedIn connection sequence in place? Personally, I try to scan all business cards the day after a networking event, and I use Evernote to do this. I use it on my phone. And if that person is on LinkedIn and easily found, it will automatically connect me to them. It's a great way to let them know that I'm on my game and on the ball and ready to talk to them in the future. If it's someone I made a really good connection with, I email them the next day as well. I have an email ready to go. I personalize it, but I have a good couple sentences ready to go that tell them a little bit about me, remind them in case they met too many people to remember the night before, and it gives me a way to keep in touch. Next question, all the business cards. I've got stacks of them here. As I start scanning them, I tend to sort them into piles. Is this person a good fit for me? Is this person a power partner potentially? All of those kinds of things. But I'll tell you, as somebody that does design work, as somebody that specializes in branding, when I see a boring business card, it doesn't make me want to talk to someone because I feel like they just went on some template website and just made whatever. Or if they work for a company and they're a little stuck in that, it's a little more understandable. But you need to make sure your business card easily explains what you do. Can I look at your business card and know what you do? I talk about personal branding on my card. I have a photo. I think it's fairly obvious what I do. But most of the cards I receive don't market the person. They don't tell me what that person is all about. I love this quote about networking. It's networking is marketing. Marketing yourself, marketing your uniqueness, marketing what you stand for. If you can do all three of those things on a business card, you are rocking. If you can do one of them, at least that's your minimum of what you should be doing. So your first mistake is networking without purpose or follow-up. The second mistake most business owners make is buying program after program. Every networking event you go to, or not everyone, but most of them have a speaker and they're always going to sell something at the end. And if you buy every one of those programs, you're going to end up with a lot of things you haven't implemented yet. So a few things to remember. Programs will not fix you or your business. Most importantly, you need to know that you're the only one that can fix your business. Your most important client is you. And that right there, friends, is a quote from this woman on the screen, Melissa Mattern. My most important client is me, is what she says. And it's something to always keep in mind. If this program that you're going to buy is something you think will fix everything, you need to remember there is no silver bullet. Nothing will fix you or your business magically. You need to remember that that's really important. Roadmaps and blueprints are great. If you buy a program that walks you through something you were going to do and wasn't, quite sure about, that's a great program to buy. If you're going to buy a program that you think will do the work for you, it's not going to work. You need to do the work. And unless you're willing to put the hard work in, buying programs won't do anything for you. Mistake number 3. You think branding is for those already earning 6 or 7 figures. Let's be honest. branding can be a little bit expensive. Logo designers, website designers, photographers, marketing strategists, all of those things go into your branding. And it can be really easy to just let the money keep flying out of your business checking account. That said, you need to remember one major thing. Branding is for everyone, even if you don't have a business. There are people out there who do personal branding just for people. There are plenty of people not in the small business owner world, just working for other companies, who still need to pay attention to their personal branding. LinkedIn profile pictures, people. You might be working for a huge conglomerate of a company. You better believe that their recruiters are checking out all of your social media. Branding is for everybody. Now, if you do own a business, it's really important. I Google everybody. Someone inquires with me, I immediately check them on Facebook. I look to see if I can find them. If I can't find them, it's a problem. If I can find your personal Facebook profile, I will look at it. And if it doesn't link to your business, I wonder why. Are you not proud of it? Is your Facebook page not ready? All of this is something that you got to remember. Everybody works on this. Every business owner needs to work on it. And those already earning 6 and 7 figures, they got there by working their brand. They got there by branding early and branding well. I'm going to dive into a few case studies here. So case study number 1 is Patty Keating. She's a coach in Portland, Oregon. And the left side here is her website about a month and a half ago. And the right side is her website after having her professional branding session with me. So I actually chose to show you her opt-in, which is something she's offering for free for a limited time. It's a program called Monetize Your Message, and it's brilliant. You should all check it out. It's at pattykeating.com. But she updated just the ebook cover that you see there on the left, or the left of the right side. She updated that and instantly saw an increase in conversions, instantly saw a lot more people downloading the book than they had before. She funnels Facebook ads to this and started seeing higher numbers there. She changed the banner behind that opt-in screen to a much more friendly photo, one that's a little more in line with her brand, a little more modern and edgy, which is what she stands for. And I was thrilled to hear about the awesome results she had after doing a professional branding session with me. And she's been in business for a very long time. She knows what she's doing. This is not the first time she's had photos done. So it's really fun to hear her say that her friends all replied, "Someone finally captured the real you, Patty." So people like that, what are their secrets? If they know how to own their brand, if they know how to brand themselves before they get to the 6 and 7 figure mark, how are they doing that? The answer, they're being themselves, they look premium, and they use their brand to attract the right clients. So let's dive into that a little bit deeper. The first thing, they're being themselves. You need to be the real you. Show photos of you. Whatever you stand for, whatever's important to you, your core values, those things that are absolutely 100% you and non-negotiable, you need to show those core values in everything you do, from the words on your website to the photos on your website to the way you operate to the hours you set. You need to be authentic, and not authentic in the buzzword way, but in the dictionary way. Be really deep down you. And if you're having trouble defining that best client that we mentioned earlier, look to yourself. If you have core values of, let's say, excellence or freedom, it's probably going to be increasingly difficult for you to work with people who don't honor those same core values. That said, if punctuality is your number one thing and you cannot stand people who aren't on time, you're probably not going to want to work with clients who habitually show up late to appointments. That's the kind of thing you need to think about when you're defining your best client. Look to what's important to you, and you're on the road to success. So another case study here, This is Joe Ramore, the podcast superhero, and he offers podcast post-production to those who want to do a podcast but aren't quite sure how to do all the tech stuff. He can edit your audio, he can get it loaded for you on the podcast distribution services, all that kind of stuff. He had no problem showing the real him. And that's why I wanted to include that right here. So these are 2 screenshots of his website. Obviously, he's hanging out with a microphone. That's what podcasting is all about. And we went with a very superhero graphic theme since that's the name of his business. It was really an easy branding thing, and he really played it up, which is what was important here. With such a graphic quality to his website, if he hadn't played it up and really had fun with it and really been willing to show the extroverted, fun side of him, this would have failed miserably. So, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those they know, like, and trust. I'm sure this is a quote you've heard before. It's one of those things that actually just gets shortened to know, like, and trust. So if you're not being the real you on your website, it's going to be really hard for people to know you. If you're putting on a facade, they're going to see through it and they're not going to like you and they're not going to trust you. The next point here is that you need to be seen. So I was talking with a client who's since booked me, but she was having a few reservations about doing a professional personal branding photo shoot. And the reason is she knew that once she put the investment in and had her photos taken and started putting them out there, she really had to put herself out there for work. She couldn't hide behind her computer screen. She couldn't any longer say, oh, she's almost ready to launch. She knew that once she had all of that taken care of, it was time to explode her brand around her. So yeah, that does mean you're going to have to be in some photos. And I know a lot of people don't love having their likeness all over the place, but you got to remember, it's a great way to induce trust with potential clients and really, really important in allowing them to see who you are and see whether they can fit with you personality-wise and core value-wise. The next case study is of Danielle Louise Roche. She's also a business coach. She coaches on marketing and on presentation skills. And the photo on the left is a screenshot of her website from, well, I think she changed it recently, but the screenshot was taken earlier in the summer. And the photo on the right is her brand new website. So she didn't have a bad website before, which makes it an even more interesting project for me because it wasn't like we were going from awful to anything could be better than that. We had to really bring our A game and make her photos really speak to the kind of clients that she wants to work with. So on the left, is a bit of a busy screen. On the right, we have a much, cleaner look. The photo is really engaging, and I think it serves her very well. Another thing to remember is that in order to be the real you, you need to lose that perfection and polish. I think a lot of people, when they're having photos taken, really feel like they need to show a perfect version of them. And I don't think that serves you very well. Clients want to identify with you. And, there was a time when you and your business did not have all the answers. There was a time when you were learning that. Remember that story I told you about myself a while back? There was a time I was telling all my clients, show the real you, be appropriate to your business, all of that. And I wasn't doing it myself. Clients need to see that you also have struggled. And they need to see that there is a way for them to get from where they are right now to a place similar to where you are right now. And to do that, you need to show a few vulnerabilities and weaknesses from here on out. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of business experts. There might be, kind of your own business heroes. Emulating them seems like the best course of action at times. They're already successful. They already know what they're doing. So if I can just look like them, then my clients will trust me. But if you're just going to copy what someone else is doing, that's not the real you. It's not authentic. And it's probably going to be something your clients see through. You're just going to end up telling someone else's story instead of your own. Clients want to get you. They want to love you for who you are. Tell your own stories and you'll be well on the way to getting past that know, like, and trust barrier. So the next thing you can do to hit the same marks as those 6- and 7-figure earners is to premiumify your brand. Yes, I love making up words. We'll be talking more about that later. But when I'm saying premiumify your brand, it's kind of everything about you. Visuals matter. There are plenty of statistics out there. My favorite is that visuals are paid attention to about 97% more than words. But it's not just having a picture or having a graphic, it's having a good quality one. I see a lot of websites that are kind of just thrown together. Maybe someone used a template but doesn't know how to really operate it, or they're including graphics that get enlarged by accident. So they have pixelized graphics all over the place. Their photos are blurry because they enlarged them. There's a great business quote, it's better to take imperfect action than perfect inaction. I'm going to kind of turn that around a little bit. Imperfect action does not mean that dodgy content is okay. When you're putting content out there, there's kind of a level. There's the, I tried my best. It's good enough. I'm just going with it. And then there's the, okay, I did this and then I edited it. I proofread it. And now it's great. So if you're going to put out content that's subpar, or you're just going to slap something together, don't be surprised when you don't get great conversion rates. Don't be surprised when people aren't calling you if you're not putting out quality content. There's a lot of people out there, me included, that judge people who don't have good quality branding. So that's your website, that's your Facebook ads, that's your Facebook page. If you're putting out really thrown together looking stuff, things that don't fit in with the look of your brand, some people might get turned off. And if it's anyone that's creative, they'll definitely get turned off because they know it's not that hard to produce a consistent look. So I'm going to go ahead and move into our next case study. So this is Ryan McGarian. He is a bartender, cocktail crafter, restaurant owner. He has a lot of different hats. He's the co-producer or co-creator, I should say, of Aviation Gin, which is pretty big out here in the Northwest. And I photographed him about I guess 9 months ago, and photographed him at his restaurant, Oven and Shaker. He really loved the handcrafted look. He wore a leather apron. We had kind of a rustic feel, and he's a friendly guy. So obviously he's smiling. He's looking good. We showed off a little bit of the look, the kind of the dark, urban, modern look that's pretty popular, and it really brought him up to a new level. So on the left here is a screenshot from Oven and Shaker's website. And on the right, you can see he's using some of his new photos in blog features. He's a guy that's pretty popular. He's profiled in a fair amount of blogs, food places, that kind of stuff. He now has great photos of himself that show the kind of work he does, put him in the environment for which he is known, and produce a consistent brand around who he is as a person. So instead of presenting a polished person, present a polished brand. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I talked earlier about losing your polish and losing your perfection as a person. It's okay to show that you're a real person, that you have a few things going on in your life that aren't perfect, that you struggle with things too. It's how your clients identify with you. If you can lose your polish as a person and instead translate that polish into everything you do in your business being polished in terms of branding, it's a great way to kind of channel that perfection energy you might feel, that type A energy that you might have, into something you can actually do that will serve your business. So next time you put together a, meme for, posting on Facebook, or next time you put together a graphic in Canva or PicMonkey, take a few extra minutes and say, is this quality? Does this represent everything I stand for? And will my best client really, really get this? If you can answer yes to all of those questions, go ahead and post. You've now gone on to presenting a polished brand. The third thing you can do is use your brand as a code. And this, my friends, is where we get to the Brandscaping code. I love talking about using branding as a code, using your words as a code, using photos as a code. What I mean by that is that it's a filter. It's a filter that talks to your best client. So use your visuals and words to attract the best clients for you. And remember earlier, I briefly spoke about who your best client is. It's the person you can most serve. The person who can't get help from anyone but you. And sometimes, that means we have a very narrow niche. That doesn't mean someone in a niche right next door won't find your services valuable and that you can't help them. Of course, you can still help them. But when you're putting your branding together and when you're deciding which phrase to use as your email subject headline in your next newsletter, and when you're deciding which photo of you to put on the banner of your website, all of these things are a lot easier to decide if you know your best client is the only one you need to speak to. So this case study is of Yancy, who I met about a year ago. She is a artist. She has formerly done body work, and she went through a whole branding process with a coach of hers and realized that, some of the work she was doing wasn't serving her as a person. And this is where we come back to the whole core values thing. If your core values aren't being honored by the work you do, you're not going to achieve any kind of success that you really, really want. So Yancy rebranded herself. She included a beautiful photo of herself that shows her energy, her delight, her radiance, and cleaned up her website and is doing beautiful art. I see her post on Facebook all the time. I love seeing what she's doing now, and I love the difference in her before and after website screenshots here. So what is brandscaping? Brandscaping is landscaping your personal brand. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you are speaking the language your best client wants to hear. You're turning their worries into actions that make them want to hire you. You're showing what it feels like to work with you and letting them identify with you. So we've already touched on each of those a little bit. So again, letting them identify with you. Be the real you. Let them see the real you. Let them see what matters to you most and what doesn't really matter to you as much. I help people translate what it feels like to work with them into photos they can use in their branding. I help them strategize how to plan for that, how to determine who their best client is. And then you also need to do this. You need to turn their worries into actions that make them want to hire you. So how do you do that? Well, a really good example is this. Abby is a personal trainer. She's a fitness instructor, and she runs seasonal detoxes. And through all of that, she's had clients for years asking her to put together a cookbook. She includes recipes with her detoxes, but everyone wants more because they love what she does. And let me tell you, after I spent the afternoon photographing her prepare food and cook food, she let me sample a little bit of the food, and it was delightful. I got to tell you, I will be buying her cookbook the minute it comes out, which should be early next year. So these photos were to brand her for the new website she put together just for the cookbook. She's had photo shoots done before. And one thing she told me while we were working together was that in her other side of the business, in her, personal training and fitness training, she was doing okay. She was doing a good job with her clients. She had a great time doing what she was doing, but she wasn't achieving the kind of success she wanted to be achieving until she invested in a photo shoot that really showed what it felt like to work with her. She did that. Her business started skyrocketing, and now she does all sorts of different things, including launching her own cookbook. So this is the website for her cookbook, and the left side is the front page of the website. She's showing what it looks like to make one of her green smoothies. You can make them in batches, have them ready to go for the whole week so you don't spend, a half hour every morning having to make breakfast. And on the right side is her about page. And one of the things she did a great job with is she has an about you and an about Abby. Because let's be honest, all of our clients want to know, how are you going to serve them? What's in it for them? She answered that question right up front. She did a wonderful job with it. So she really spilled her clients' worries onto paper, re-engineered the words, brought in photos to support the story of those words, and put together a beautiful web presence. I think she did an amazing job. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of recap here. Why did you show up today? You want to move beyond business frustration. You're ready to show the world what you have to offer. And you wanted the answers to those questions. So I moved into a few ways that you can kind of move beyond those frustrations, stop spinning your wheels, all of that. The obvious question is, how do I create a personal brand now? You've been talking about a personal brand. You've been talking about, how to use your brand to hit those 6 and 7 figure marks. And there's a few ways you can go about doing this. You can do the complicated and confusing way. You can keep plugging away the way you've been working so far. You can keep trying this, trying that. Nope, not working. Let's go back. Let's start back at the drawing page. Or you can go for a simple and strategic way. And I've hinted at that already. We'll go over that a little bit more in the future. But first, let's go to one of my favorites, Seth Godin. Average stuff for average people is getting ever more difficult to sell. If that's all you've got, get something else. So I love Seth. He has so many tweetable quotes. And if you go to any one of his blog posts, you're really going to get a great sense of him knowing exactly what his market wants. Average stuff. If you're going to throw together an average website, a logo that's just some font you typed out into a straight line, if you're going to make your website look like everybody else, there's no reason for people to stay on it. There's no reason for people to hire you over any other coach or any other consultant on the market. There's a lot of options that you have there, but until you invest in something that really speaks to who you are, really talks to your best client, you're not going to get there. So that would be the simple and strategic way. Talk to your best client. Figure out what they want to hear. Figure out what they need and sell it to them. So with that, we are now going to talk about brandscaping. Really you, really in business. Brandscaping is my new program to help you figure out all of the hows that we just talked about. We've been talking about who and why and what. Brandscaping, really you, really in business, is all about the how. How do you define your best client? How do you make sure your best clients honor the same core values that you hold dear? We're going to learn how to identify your best client, brand to them, and up-level your business. So, module 1 of brandscaping. Be you, branding foundations start with you. In that module, we're going to do a branding foundation kickoff. We're going to talk about your core values and how to identify the core values of the potential clients you're speaking with. We're going to learn how to spill your brain out onto paper and turn those words around to phrases that really speak to your identifying client, your best client, just like Abby did. And then once we've got all of that figured out, once we know exactly who and what we're talking to, how we can honor the person that you are in your business and make sure you do the best work, then we'll go over a brand assessment of everything you have. So that does include your logo, your website, your possible website theme, your branding colors, your branding look, and we're going to figure out whether you are currently integrating these elements into your business cards, your social media campaigns, whether you're really honoring everything that you hold dear as a person and a business owner, and whether that's showing up online. Module 2, be seen. Let the real you shine everywhere. I talked a little bit earlier about how radiant Yancy looks in her new photo. I didn't show you the photo she was using before because I couldn't find it. And, it was an iPhone snapshot and she looked fine, but it didn't show her as the friendly, outgoing, brilliant person that she is. This module is going to get us there. So we're going to talk about a branding checklist. Where do you currently need photos or graphics? What is missing in your current online brand? So we're going to use that branding assessment from the previous module, and we're going to make a branding checklist of what you need to work on. For your photo plan, we're going to work on a location plan and a wardrobe plan, both of them speaking directly to the best client we have already determined from your first module. And we're going to figure out exactly what will speak to them, how you can execute that in a photo shoot, and how you can take this photo strategy plan to any photographer in your local market, or to me, which is, of course, my preferred way of working. The third module, show you off. And this right here is where most programs that people buy online fail. We're going to learn how to implement everything we just did. So, I am an expert at photography. I'm an expert at implementing brands online and in social media, but not everybody is. So I'm going to teach you how to do some of this on your own. I'm a big fan of professional website designers, professional graphic designers. I worked with a ton of them in school. I am friends with a lot of them in real life these days. But even they know you don't have the budget, possibly, to hire a designer for each and every little project. If you want to put a new Facebook ad campaign together in 2 days, you're not going to have time to outsource that. Well, maybe you could on Fiverr, but if you want to do some things on your own, I'm going to show you how to do some of the basics yourself. If you're not a techie person, you're still going to need to hire a website designer, but I can show you how to do some updates. Specifically, in Module 3, we're going to talk about a brand standards card, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like in just a few minutes. But a brand standards card keeps everything you need in one place. Never again will you forget which font you use for a headline or the body of a marketing piece. If you need to design a quick flyer for a workshop you're doing next week, you'll have all of this stuff ready to go. I'm going to give you Canva and Photoshop tutorials. So Canva for Work launched a few months ago. It's awesome. Even though I have Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator and all of the graphic building programs, I still use Canva for a lot of my web graphics when I'm in a hurry. They have a way for you to include some of your branding options right in their program. You can even upload your own fonts now if you aren't using Google Fonts for your, typefaces. I'm going to show you how to build that stuff on your own quickly, and so it always looks consistent. This right here, folks, is how you're going to keep a polished look part of your brand. You're going to keep that business polish and always look consistent, removing any barrier for your clients to work with you. Also, if you're using a WordPress website, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and update your photos as you start acquiring new branding photos. Or if you're a mobile photography enthusiast, I'm going to show you how to include, mobile photos. I'm going to show you a few ways to process them on your mobile devices, have them look great, not look quite so, iPhone 3G circa. And we're going to go ahead and insert those into some of your blogs so that you have beautiful blog posts that have featured images so that when you move them on over to Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, they've got a beautiful image to accompany them. So I'm going to go over options for you to do all of that here in Module 3 so that once you have your best client defined, once you have figured out what kind of photos and graphics you need for your business, you know how to make a few of them on the fly and insert them into the appropriate places of your brand, specifically your social media campaigns and your website. So, what you get in this program, a lot of those modules, especially the tutorials and the core values assessment, things like that, we're going to do webinar style trainings. This is stuff that can be done online from the comfort of your home. Each week, you're going to be provided a link to a new training, and you'll be able to do it on your own time. You don't have to schedule any special timing for this. You can kind of go back over it. It'll be all within a membership site, so you can go back again and again. You're going to include, or you're going to get fill in the blank checklists for things like your brand assessment, your photo need checklist. I'm going to have common options, common needs, and needs specific to your situation and your own business that you can fill in and always have the answers to. You can download them, fill them in again and again as your needs change. In a year, you might have different needs. If you're right now an author and you're going to be starting to speak in 6 months, you might have different needs coming up soon. I'm going to include video tutorials for making the graphics. So again, those Canva tutorials, the Photoshop, the WordPress tutorials, those will be video tutorials. I'll show you exactly how I edit photos on a mobile device to include them. I'll show you how I insert graphics into a few of the popular WordPress themes out there. And we're going to have weekly Q&A sessions with me. So when you get stuck on something, when you're not sure, I'm going to be available personally to answer those questions for you. So that's what you get, but what will you create? So we're going to create a clear picture of your best client. We're going to create a foolproof photo strategy for branding yourself. I'm going to help you create graphics for your website, social media, funnels. We're going to have a branding standards card to carry a consistent look through your branding. And you're going to create your own brandscaping code. Never again will you struggle with what picture to choose, which phrase to choose, how to word something, because you always know you can speak to your best client. And as a little hint of what's to come, you're always going to know who your best client is. And if you're struggling, you can go back to yourself. Who were you before you knew all the answers? What would you have wanted to know 10 years ago? What was most important for you to hear then? That's where you're going to go. So let's look at the graphic here on the left. So this is Melissa, who I mentioned earlier. She is the psychic genius. She's a brilliant business psychic. She's a dear friend of mine, and she was a little bit resistant to me rebranding her for a while. So we finally got her on the ball. She has a beautiful website now, a brand that just screams her photos that fly off the page, show her big personality. And since she offers psychic services for the business realm, it's really important for her to look professional as well. So we put together a great branding standards card for her, includes her colors, the fonts we used, and her logo and her website. And we included a nice Facebook cover photo for her. I'll be showing you in Module 3 how to create Facebook covers that show well on both on mobile devices and desktops, all of that. This is what you will create by the end of the program. So there's a few bonuses as well. I am including a Facebook support group for anyone who opts into this program. So this is community support. I'll include template files for things like that. Ooh, hold on just a second. Sorry about that, folks. Hey, Joe. All right, sorry about that. Apparently my bonuses were really exciting. So we're going to include a Facebook support group for you. So one of the things I've noticed in anyone I've worked with is, there's lots of little questions here and there. Maybe you have a question before the Q&A comes up this week or something that you just want a little opinion on. I'm including for you a Facebook support group. It's lifetime access, and I'm going to include template files for things like your Facebook cover photo, your Twitter cover photo, things like that. I'll show you where to put your content, all of that. So the value of this is $247, and I'm including this as a free bonus in the program. I'm also courtesy of a wonderful person. Her name's Linda Bard. Her business is Find Your Creative Voice. She's an executive muse there, and she helps you determine what is most important to you as a person and a business owner by doing hand readings. And she's including a Heartline assessment with her personal feedback in this as a way for you to know exactly what matters to you and know exactly what matters to your clients and figure out how to work with people and who's the best person for you to work with. So I'm also going to include automation strategies. So I'm a big fan of working smarter, not harder. And I'll include a video training on how to do exactly that. I'm going to show a few things on how to keep you organized online using things like Dropbox, or you could apply that to like Google Drive, things like that as well. I would love to make sure that everyone working with me knows exactly where all of their stuff is. So I'm going to show you a few different systems I use to keep my work organized, to keep it backed up so that if you have a computer crash, things like that, you don't lose anything. All of the things I do to keep my back-end system in check, we'll be going over. And if you purchase by the end of tomorrow, I'm including a fast action bonus. It's a brand emergency review. This is what I mentioned earlier when I said stay tuned to the end. The value of this is $197. If you are just about ready to launch a new campaign or strategy or promo, and you just want someone to review it and make sure it really speaks to your brand, this is what you want right here. So let's talk pricing. So the early bird offer ends tomorrow at 9 p.m. October 28th, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The fast action full pay price is $15.97. That includes the 3 modules we were talking about, 3 Q&A sessions, the bonuses we've talked about, including the fast action brand emergency review I just talked about. And if you're ready, if you already know that this is exactly what you want, I'd love for you to hop on over to brittneygardner.com/brandscaping. Remember, Brandscaping is the name of the code we are building. All right. And if you pay in full, I have an additional bonus. So the full pay bonus is a done for you brand standards card. The brand standards card shows exactly what I was talking about with Melissa. So this one is my brand, Brittney Gardner. So I've included some graphics that I use over here on the right. They're things you're going to find in the background of my website, the background of ads. There's a pattern there. There's a kind of a gradient background I use for certain handouts and things like that. I include my brand colors. So I have salmon and gray as my brand colors. And you're going to notice the background of this slide is using rose, which is one of my alternates. I include the hex codes of each one of my brand colors so that whenever I'm ready to put together a piece or add a graphic element, I always know exactly what color to use to maintain that consistent look. So everything you see here is my brand. Everything you know about me is my brand. But these right here are the visual elements of my brand. And this way I can always maintain a consistent visual look, just like I keep a visual or a consistent messaging around my brand. I want to always include a consistent look. So I include a blank template in the regular version of this program, but I have a done for you full pay bonus brand card as a bonus for you if you pay in full. If you don't want to pay in full, I also do have a payment option. So for 3 installments of $697, one each month for 3 months, you can still be a part of this program. You don't get the full pay bonus of the done for you brand standards card, but you do still get the early bird bonus and the other bonuses, and of course, the full program. So again, you can hop over to brittneygardner.com/brandscaping if you're ready to go. The program begins on November 15th. So the early bird bonus and pricing ends tomorrow evening, but the program begins November 15th, and you do still have time to purchase if you aren't quite ready or aren't quite sure yet. We're going to be doing a few questions here in just a moment. If you have questions about what's included, how it's delivered, any of that, I'm happy to answer questions in just a moment. But in the meantime, I want to let you know that there are payment, full pay, and early bird pricing options. There's also a money back guarantee. There is a hitch. You need to do all the work. You need to participate in the Q&As and show me your results. If you still aren't satisfied after all of that, I will gladly give you a refund. You know why? I'm 100% positive that if you put the time in and you do the work, you are going to have a personal brand that explodes around you. You're going to attract better clients, which means you won't be wasting times with clients who don't get you. And you're going to attract clients who are happy to hire you at whatever price you command. So we're going to go ahead and move into the Q&A portion right now. But if you already know exactly what you want, you already know that this is exactly what you need a roadmap, you need a blueprint to get you going and launch your personal brand, now's the time to head over to brittneygardner.com/brandscaping. So as the questions start to come in, we'll talk a little bit about the total value of the program. So the total value is $3,032. That includes my full brandscaping program. The value is $19.97. The Facebook support group bonus, the Heartline assessment by Linda Bard, findyourcreativevoice.com. That's $147. The automation training is a $147 value. A brand emergency review is your fast action bonus with early bird pricing. That's a $197 value. And if you pay in full, a done for you brand standards card. That's a $297 value. So I'm going to stay here until all the questions are done. I'll be around as long as you need me. And if you'd rather email, I do have someone checking my email as well. In the meantime, this is the total value of the program. And I'd love to go back to Maya Angelou. She's one of my favorites. She's got a lot of good quotes out there, but my favorite is, "There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Your clients are aching to hear who you are, why you got into business, and how you can help them. That's your story. That's your brand story. So if you're keeping that inside you, you're making sure that people out there who need your help don't get it. I was in a situation about 2 months ago. I was getting ready to speak on a topic near and dear to my heart, and my right hand started hurting. At first, it was a little ache, and we had just moved. I'd been doing a ton of house painting, but it was really, really hurting. I maybe had smashed it. I maybe had just overextended it with all the painting and lifting and boxing and all that stuff. But my friend Melissa told me that the right hand is what you let out into the world. So it was no surprise that my right hand was hurting so badly. No surprise that I was in pain because I was not at that point speaking the story people needed to hear. I was not talking about being seen and how important it is to show the real, authentic you to your clients. I'd been keeping that inside me, and I'd been keeping that inside me in my own business as well. As soon as I let that go, as soon as I started talking about being seen, how that is what really gets business owners off the ground, all my hand pain went away. If you want to talk about a physical manifestation of greater agony, I think that's it right there. So I got a question in, what is the difference between a graphic and a brand? Okay, I'm going to go to Jeff Bezos. He's the CEO over at Amazon. And his quote goes something like, "Branding is what people say about you when you walk out of the room." So anything people perceive about you is your brand. If you are not a business owner, as I said earlier, you still have a brand. It's what people think about you, what people associate with you, what people expect of you. So a graphic can be part of your brand. So, in terms of Amazon, they have the black Amazon.com logo with a little gold or yellow arrow showing, things coming to you. And that's how they visually represent their brand in a logo. I also showed on my brand standards card earlier a few patterns I use. That's a graphic. It's just a little wave pattern. It's gray, which is my secondary brand color, and that's something I use in my branding. But it's just a visual portion of my brand. So, it's a way I express my brand visually. I have a very elegant brand. I don't use a lot of flashy graphics. I use very understated graphics, and I'm branding people. I want people to know that when I'm working with them, it's all about them, not about me. So I keep a fairly understated brand. Other people might have a bolder brand. When I'm designing an ad, for example, I'll often use that gradient as a background. It's very subtle. It still lets my text shine. I'm a photographer and branding strategist, and almost everything I do shows photos in things like postcards, rack cards, business cards, everything like that. So I spend a lot of time creating very subtle graphics for my brand because I want the focus to stay on the photos. What I do is translate what it feels like to work with you into photos. What I do is translate that into a way that speaks to your best client. So I want you to be looking at my client's photos, not at my graphics. So for me, that's how I express my brand. But if you were a different kind of business, a graphic might be a bigger part of your business card. You might want your logo to be really big. You might not have a photo on your card at all. Although if you do a lot of networking, I would suggest keeping a photo there. There's ways to do this. It really depends on who your best client is. Your best client will determine everything you do. So Jennifer is asking how long it would typically take to do the modules and launch start to finish. I will be releasing each module in a week. That said, you can take more time if you want. Each module has 3 or 4 lessons in it. Some of them are shorter or longer than others. So I give a week for people who really want to get started, get going. I know that if you're going to invest in a program, you want to see results fast. So you can get fully launched in 3 weeks. Renee asks, what is the best way to launch? Big, small, soft launch? Again, that depends on how you're doing things. If you have just a part of it ready and you haven't fully fleshed out all of your strategy, a soft launch might be a good idea. I redid my own branding photos about 2 months ago. I waited a full month to start really using them as I was gearing up for some webinars, some speaking gigs. And I actually only changed my Facebook business profile, I think, this past week. I did update some covers. I did update some business ads. I do advertise for headshots in a few local magazines, for example. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. Danielle, who I profiled earlier, she was brand new business. She had her photos done over the summer and she just launched her website a couple weeks ago. She chose to do a soft launch just to make sure there were no kinks in her new website because part of her rebrand or relaunch, if you want to call it that, included a soft launch, included a complete website redesign. So to make sure there were no kinks, she went with a soft launch. So as a reminder, again, this is for you if you're ready to be seen, ready to take action, and willing to invest the time. If you're not willing to invest the time, a program's probably not the best option for you. If you don't implement what you learn, it's just another thing that you think is a silver bullet, but you're not ready to actually do. So I really want to make sure that if you do this, that you're willing to invest the time and you want to take action. I love the question earlier about us having how long would it take to launch? That sounds like someone ready to take action. So again, the early bird offer is $15.97 full pay or 3 payments of $6.97, and that early bird offer does go until tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. on October 28th. So what happens next? If you haven't yet hopped over to brittanygardener.com/brandscaping, now is the time to do that. You will see something that looks just like this. There's options there for 3 payments, and there's an option there for the full pay of $15.97. You can go ahead, fill that information out. You'll get an email confirmation immediately that you've signed up for Brandscaping, really you, really in business. And I will include a few things you can get started on right away, including access to the Facebook group. Most of the modules, most of the information for the program won't start coming until November 15th. I will be in touch with you and I will start including links to things you can watch and do as we approach that date. But for now, I think this is the end. It looks like I have answered all of the questions. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know I went over a lot of stuff. I know I talked about the what and the why. I'd love to help you with the how. Let's get started. Bye for now.